Hello, and welcome to the final episode of Radical Democracy. I am Maddi Cheers. Even though it says episode 54, it's actually 55. I kind of like that number going on there. So this is the episode on radical reciprocity. And I started the show here at the mic all by myself, so I thought it would be appropriate to finish the show here at the mic all by myself, because I'm hoping that you guys will text in, or you can even call in today at 516-945-9099. So my inspiration for this show came from four little things that came to me over this past week, and I don't really believe that anything happens just by accident. So the week started with me seeing a quote in my quote book, one of my favorites from John Kennedy, of ask not what your country can do for you, ask what you can do for your country. And then I saw, you know me, I don't watch the news. I do read it sometimes, and then the next thing I saw was a little clip on Mitch McConnell talking about how we had to cut Social Security. It's an entitlement program. And then the next thing I saw was the response of Bernie Sanders followers after he won New Hampshire. And the third thing was Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez being upset with Bernie Sanders because he doesn't support open borders. And I'm going to get into each of those and why this reminded me of the concept of sacred reciprocity. So in spirituality, there is this idea that you don't get something for nothing. I will never forget my husband telling me how his Comanche grandfather, when he was explaining about why they go through all these ceremonies that require sacrifice, it is because in the energetic world, in the spiritual world, you do not get something for nothing. You have to put something out there too. So I've been listening. For a couple of years, people have been describing Social Security and Medicare as entitlement programs. They are not entitlement programs. They are enlightenment programs. Social Security and Medicare is a reciprocal agreement between the young and the old. Those of us who started working at 16, we agreed that we were going to pay into FICA, into Social Security, and that we at 65 would get our hospitalization covered if we needed. And then at 67, we would be able to retire, and there would be a fund that would give us a certain amount of money based on how much we had put in. The reciprocal agreement between the young and the old is that as I'm young, I am paying into this system, which is supporting my elders who have already paid into this system so that there is enough money for them to enter into their retirement and to get their hospitalization, as there will be enough money for me because those younger are working and agreeing to contribute to the society so that these things will be available for all of us. That is reciprocity. That is sacred reciprocity if you're going to look at it in spiritual terms. We have entered into agreement with ourselves, with the universe, where we are saying, this is what I'm willing to give. I'm going to work for 50 years. Part of my working is going to support my elders. I'm going to be a contributing member of this society. And then these are the things that I will have saved for, that I will have earned when I am too old to work. Or when I want to go do something I wanted to do as a different job. And many, many people agreed to this and took jobs they didn't love, but they wanted to be working. They saw themselves as a contributing member of society. So when John Kennedy in that inaugural speech said, ask not what your country can do for you, ask what you can do for your country, we all felt like we were part of something. We belonged to a community. We belonged to a group. We did not feel like people feel today. So when Mitch McConnell calls Social Security an entitlement program, it certainly is not. We are not looking to be entitled. We paid into this system. We supported our society with our taxes and our Social Security payments. And this is the reciprocation that our society agreed to give us as elders. Now, the other disingenuous thing that's going on the other side of the aisle, because far be it from me to just criticize the Republicans when the Democrats are equally guilty in this. And of course, you know how I feel about a two-party system. We need to get rid of that, but I'm not even going to get into that part right now. We'll talk about that in a new show. But this is when Bernie Sanders says Medicare for all. There is already Medicare for all in the reciprocal system, where those who are working are agreeing to pay into the Medicare for the elders. He is not talking about Medicare for all. So that is a grave misnomer. That is as bad as Mitch McConnell calling Social Security an entitlement. So that is not what he is talking about. He is talking about single-payer health care with the government running health care, which I'm just going to throw this in quickly, but if you want to see what government-run health care is going to look at the VA. Ask any vet how well that's going. But, all right, so if that's what you think you want, that's what you think you want. And that's totally up to you. So, yay, because that's who you get to vote for, fine. Except that what disturbed me when I was looking at the interviews after I happened to catch, the announcement that Bernie Sanders had won the New Hampshire primary. And then they did interviews with his followers. And they went up to these mostly young kids and asked them, so why are you voting for Bernie? Well, I'm voting for Bernie because of Medicare for all and free college. I'm voting for Bernie because of Medicare for all and free college, one after another. And then when several of them were asked, well, how is this going to get paid for? Oh, we're going to tax the corporations more. We're going to tax rich people more. We're going to cut defense. And that's how we're going to pay for this stuff that you're going to give to me. If it had been me interviewing, my next question would have been, and what are you going to give back? What are you willing to give back to the country so that you can afford to go to college for what you think is free? It's not free. I'm paying for it. Anybody who's working is paying for it. Even if we decide to include college tuition in what our taxes pay for, we have agreed to do this, but then you have to give back. And that is the universal principle of sacred reciprocity. You're not going to get something for nothing. Native people, indigenous people, smart enough to know that. When we were living in tribal cultures, everybody worked, everybody contributed, everybody got the benefits, the food, the shelter, the clothing. Everybody worked. So when you get your free college, which, again, not free, just somebody else paying for you to go, not you going, not you paying. So when you get out of college, what's your plan? What are you going to do? Are you going to get a job? Or are you going to go on unemployment and wait for the perfect job, like a lot of people talk about? And not all. I am definitely not stereotyping young people, but there are many young people, sadly some who have even committed suicide because they didn't get the job, the perfect job when they got out of college. So the perfect job is not out there. You go down that path and go down that process of discovering what your perfect job is. It's a great journey. But if what you're thinking is, well, I'm going to go to college and I'm going to get out and then I'm going to get my six-figure job, which is, I have friends who worked on Wall Street who said that's what a lot of young people, when they have their masters, they come out to Wall Street, they think they're going to make six figures right away. So when you don't get that job, and I'm not even going to go into the math and the lack of possibility that corporations and rich people can pay for those services just by taxing them more. Of course, the math does not work out, as I'm sure you've been told a million times if you pay attention. So you're going to get out and you don't get your perfect job, possibly because those corporations that you overtaxed are going somewhere else where they're not going to get as taxed because maybe the jobs aren't out there. But if you don't get that job, are you willing to still be a contributing member of the society? Are you going to find a way to give back? Are you going to be grateful? And this is what I see a lack of when I look at all the complaining going on by Bernie Sanders supporters, by other, but it's not just him. A lot of the supporters on the Democratic side of the aisle, there is zero gratitude and zero recognition of that which you already have here. What there is what we call in spirituality the scarcity mentality. There's not going to be enough. There's not going to be enough for me, so give me stuff. Give me stuff now. You give it to me. That's not reciprocity. That is not sacred either. That's called greed. That is called selfishness. There is nothing about that that is in line with our original instructions on how to be good human beings, how to make good choices. There's nothing lined up with gratitude, kindness, respect, with being in a loving community. None of that. So my question to those young people, to any young people that are listening that might want to call in and answer this question right now, my question is, what are you willing to give back? Instead of just taking, what do you want to give back? Ask yourself that question. And when you ask yourself that question, also ask yourself, what about that life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness? Those are high ideals. Those are lofty things to tell everybody that they are entitled to. You are entitled to life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. But you're not entitled to do it out there alone, and it's not just for you. It's for everybody. But what we've done, because in this polarization, what's happened is we've brought everything down to materialism. Everything is about, it's not life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. We're back to food, shelter, and clothing. We're talking about if you lose a job, the government is going to give you a job, right? So that you can be working, doing what? Doing something you want to do or doing something you have to do? I hear people, one of the kids interviewed said, oh, we're going to do it like they do in Europe. Now, I have said this before, but I am definitely going to say this again. You cannot compare the United States to the way the Scandinavian countries run their social democracies or the way Germany runs theirs. You cannot do it. First, look at Germany. Unemployment for 1 year. That's it. 1 year. Not like here, endless unemployment. 1 year. You don't find a job of comparable pay to the one you left or the one you lost, you're going to work. You have to go to work. Sweden, you get 1 year off to take care of your child, if you're a mom, to raise your baby for 1 year, and then you go back to work. You want to be a stay-at-home mom? Forget about it. Not happening. You got to go back to work and contribute. The only way you get to raise your own kid is if your job happens to be in the daycare center where the government is raising your child. You look at Denmark. Denmark, 50% flat tax for everybody. We don't even want to talk about flat tax in this country, even though it is the most fair style of taxing. And it is also proven economically to be the best, to put the most into the coffers. And psychologically and spiritually, since everyone is contributing at one level, and there have been studies that say in our country with unemployment the way it is right now, everybody could be paying just 14% in tax. I'd be paying less. You'd be paying less. And still we would have more money going into the government. But the government has also broken its trust with us. It has borrowed money to pay for social programs, some of which have no reciprocity. You can be on welfare endlessly, not work, not contribute, which is so demeaning. And so it's so degrading to a human being. Yeah, this is all your life is worth. All your life is worth. We're going to pay for you to live in a one-bedroom apartment with your 4 kids. And I was talking to a friend this morning who told me about her sister-in-law who lives in a one-bedroom apartment. She has 4 kids. We all pay for that. All of her food is paid for. Her phone is paid for. She's not taking care of her kids because she's on her phone on social media all day. But we're not even looking in on these children to make sure they are being taken care of. That is our agreement with our children. We are responsible to them. But we have created this monster that actually degrades what it means to be human. Being taken care of by somebody else is not what it means to be human. We fight for the rights of people with special needs, with illnesses, so they can go to work, so they can have dignity. Everybody should be able to go to work and have dignity and have a job that fulfills their purpose in life. This is what capitalism allows, that socialism and certainly communism does not. It does not allow you to choose the job you want to have. It does not allow you to start the business you want to have. It does not allow you to find your purpose and then express that in the world to, as the Haudenosaunee and all other Native people say, to bring your gift into the world to make the world a better place to be for everybody. But if your idea is, I just get to take, nothing is coming back to you. Because, of course, the whole system will collapse and then there'll be nothing for anybody. Just the mere economics of it will collapse the country. So, but you're not worried about that because all you're worried about is what you're going to get out of this. And then you look at Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, where she gets all upset with Bernie Sanders because he's not on board with open borders. He's not the only one. Like 80% of the country is not in favor of open borders, but she doesn't want to hear that because her whole idea of being a leader, which is so far from being a leader, her whole idea is I'm right and you're wrong. And if you disagree with me, you're a racist. I'm going to call you names. If you don't think we should, no plan. What is your plan when you open these borders? Are you going to stand there? Are you going to hand people coming in a green card and a social security number so that they can work and pay taxes and reciprocate into the system, into the society, into the country, into the state that is providing for them? Is that what your plan is if we open borders? Or is your plan, open the borders, let anybody in, they get a job, they do whatever, which is what happens with undocumented workers now, is they get their job, they're not paying any taxes. They are not contributing to this country, this society, this community. They are not giving back, and they are forced out of a sacred state of being because sacred reciprocity is a universal principle. Everything depends on reciprocity. When we talked about healing, we talked about the reason you start with healing yourself is so that you become the best person you can be, so that you can give back, so that you can help heal those who need healing. So there's a principle here that we are forgetting that this country and this democracy was founded on, and that principle is fairness. Is this agreement that we have within this society, this agreement to be reciprocal with each other is fair. And this lack of understanding, this calling somebody a racist because they disagree with you, and then claiming that you're the one who's so compassionate. I'm sorry, that is false compassion. False compassion. That is limited compassion, and compassion is limitless. So if you're going to say, I can only be compassionate to those people I deem worthy, your fear, your existence, I don't need to even acknowledge because you disagree with me and I'm right and you're wrong. I'm right, you're wrong. I'm right, you're wrong. The bane of human existence. and I again will go back to something I've said many times on this show, the great peacemaker, when he brought the Haudenosaunee out of war, he said to them, if you want peace, you have to make a decision. Do you want to be right or do you want to be fair? So you have to be fair. Without fairness, there is no peace. Now, do we have to make it more fair in terms of what certain people are earning, what corporations are making and paying? Of course we do. There's a lot of adjusting that has to be done, but it is not at the expense of giving up your obligation to the community. You cannot have a peaceful community. You cannot have a loving community if people do not feel like they are being treated fairly. And that is what happened when I just had a discussion with another friend. He sat down, he was on the show a little while ago, Phil. He sat down and he talked to people about why they had voted for Donald Trump and why they were against the whole dreamer thing. Well, if you talk to a guy who is making $52,000 a year and has to pay for an exorbitant amount of money and take out loans to get his kid to college, and his kid is sitting next to the child of somebody who is illegally in the country, and they're going for free, how do you not see that he's going to be mad? How do you not get that? And then let's talk about, how do you not have compassion for that? So that is where this great divide is happening. This great, what do they keep calling it? Polarization in our country is happening. And when a person like Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, who is a great influencer, comes out and is not compassionate and is not caring and calls names and denigrates other people, then she is essentially saying, oh, you get to go do that. At the same time, she criticizes the Trump people, the people that follow Trump. At the same time as she is criticizing these people, then she is doing the same thing. So if you are in that state of mind where you are being critical, where you are bullying, you are in that mentality. You are in that energy. You are being a bully. You are being selfish. It doesn't matter that you think what you're being bullying and selfish and degrading about is right. That's the energy of it. You are equally as bad as the people you are criticizing for doing that same thing. And that is what we are not looking at. And beyond that, we are not looking at our obligation to each other. We are not asking what we can do for this country, for this society. What is my promise to you? What is my commitment to you to make this culture a better place? And this lack of gratitude for living in a country where you are free to express yourself and do different things and create a new form of government comes from that scarcity mentality. There is zero new. Zero. I talked a few months ago about changing the name of this show from Radical Democracy to something else. And the reason is because the term radical does not mean what it should mean. Being radical means that you're going for something new. You are going to go. Jesus was radical, okay? Gandhi was radical. These were people that wanted to change to something completely new and different. They wanted to get out of the hierarchical system. Buddha was radical. Confucius was radical. But now, today, radical only means that I am going to go up against the current system. And what am I introducing? In order to change this democracy to the way it should be, I'm going to talk about socialism and communism. I'm going to talk about another hierarchical system where an elite group of people tell me what to do. That's what I'm going to do. There is nothing new in that. There is nothing radical in that idea. Zero things radical, zero things new, even though those people talking about changing to a more socialist culture or a more communist culture are called the radicals. So radical has come to have this negative connotation. What is truly radical is when we say to each other, we are going to create the conditions under which everyone in our society has the opportunity to grow up to be the best person they can be the best them they can be. That is what we're talking about. That's radical, which is why I originally called the show Radical Democracy, and also because it's based on the great law of peace. But radical has a totally different connotation anymore. So when we are talking about reciprocity, when we are talking about creating a situation, us as elders, creating a world and a situation where people get to be the best they can be, where they get to live in that divine place of love and light, where whether you look at it as divinity or not, where you get to be the best you, where the society gives back to you the opportunity to be respected, the opportunity to be kind, the opportunity to be treated kindly, to be respectful, to go to your higher self, to be loving, to raise the vibration of everybody. We're going to afford you that opportunity because we see in you that gift. That's radical, and that's also sacred. That is why we are here. We are here to have a life that is our absolute best that we can be, to create the conditions under which every child can grow up to know themselves, to be seen, and to feel confident and happy and safe so that they can give their gifts to the world. And then once you are in that position where you can give back, then you enter into that sacred reciprocal agreement of your community. And your community is there for you, and you agree to be there for them so that you remain in this state of safety and peace and happiness. And that is why we really have to look much deeper and with much greater patience at who we are electing. If we're looking at somebody who is so arrogant that they do not have the courage, and I do mean it takes courage, to sit down and talk to somebody who disagrees with them, that their way of dealing with somebody who disagrees with them is to call them a name, to label them, and given that label, possibly even destroy their life. If that's who you're looking at to elect to government, stop. Don't do it. The last people you should put into power are A, people who want power, and B, people who think they are better than you. That is not who you want in power. You want in power somebody who is willing to listen to you, to understand you, to be compassionate towards you. I truly believe there is a way to bring together the entire North American continent so that we can travel in between each other's countries, we can work with each other, we can benefit from each other, we can enter into this sacred reciprocity where we are all in abundance, where we are all feeling grateful for that. There is a way to do that. It is not going to happen tomorrow, and it is not going to happen by opening borders, and it is not going to happen by not sitting down and talking to people about their fears. You can't just have compassion for one group. People are afraid. Everybody's afraid of something. So you have to sit down. Why are you afraid? Why are you afraid? I need to understand. If you are not seeking to understand the person who disagrees with your position, you are not compassionate and you are not courageous. You are too scared and too weak. You think that listening to somebody who has a different idea than you is going to challenge your idea. If you're too scared and too weak to sit down and have that discussion and have somebody challenge your idea, you are too scared and too weak to be a leader. It takes great courage and a skin 7 layers thick to take on the responsibility of leading a nation. When John Kennedy said, ask not what your country can do for you, ask what you can do for your country, he invited all of us in to create something greater, something bigger, something more enlightened. There is a difference between being entitled and being empowered. And I'm taking that from my friend Louisa. There is, I love that. There is a difference. If you think you are entitled to things and you have nothing to give back, you are not empowered. There's no empowerment in that. Gimme, 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 gimme. No. Empowerment is, here's what I'm going to give out. Here's who I am. Here's who I'm going to give to the world. Because this is me. This is what I love. This is my connection with the divine. This is my recognizing that I am humble. I am not any better than you are. And I am willing to give this gift. I am willing to devote my life in service, because having a job, working, especially people who choose to have jobs they don't really love, that is being in service to your community. And the examples of that come from the great religious leaders and sages. They show us what it means to be in service. They show us what it means to sacrifice. Sometimes you have to do that. You have to give up something for somebody else. But we are stuck in this wheel, I don't even know how to describe this, of selfishness. Everybody, I was so, the best metaphor for where a lot of our mentality is right now was, I saw this commercial on this thing called The Mirror. And it says, oh, the future of fitness is in your home. And it's you looking at a mirror, which is you looking at yourself, and it's telling you how to get fit. Really? So we're not going to go outside. We're not going to ride any bikes anymore. We're not going to go play games with kids. You know, no more of those playground games. You know, no more of just letting children play. Me, I'm not even going to play. I'm going to stand here. I'm going to get fit. I'm going to all by myself in my house. I thought, gosh, is that ever a metaphor for where we are headed in this country? For that great disconnect. And that is certainly what is happening. So when you feel like you are entitled to somebody else giving you something, you are taking away from your own power. That is why we say entitlement is not empowerment. Because you are going to say, but you got to give this to me. I'm entitled to it. And then the other person is going to say, why? Why should I give this to you? What are you giving back? And hopefully you're not saying that. You're saying, well, I'm going to be empowered to give back my talent, my experience. And that is why I say that the way that Medicare and Social Security is set up is social reciprocity. It is an enlightenment, not an entitlement, because we have agreed to support each other. And then young people look to their elders. And I truly believe that one of the things that's going on with people running for government right now is they are taking advantage of this split between the old and the young. You know, the whole okay boomer, okay blamer thing. So when you're appealing to young people, you let them blame the old people for all the problems in the world. So when I go up to you and I say, yeah, I'm going to take away those old people's Social Security, I'm going to take away their Medicare, we paid for that. We paid into a system. For 50 years, we entered into an agreement that if we paid into this system and we supported our elders, that when we got to be elders, there would be money for us and our support. And a lot of us don't even really retire. We can get Social Security at 67, but the mentality now of people my age is we keep going, we keep contributing, we keep giving. So let's drop that okay boomer phase and stop blaming me for your problems. Your problem is that you want to be entitled to stuff. It doesn't work that way. The universe doesn't work that way. You have to be willing to give also. You have to enter into this agreement with all of us in your community. When we are talking about those original instructions for human beings that the Haudenosaunee describe, gratitude, respect, kindness, loving communities, that is what we should be aiming for. Those are our higher ideals. When we talk about life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness, that is a higher ideal to say that all of us should be happy. But with everything focused on materialism, how much money is this program getting? How much money is this person getting? How much money, 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 money? Everything's all about the money. That focus on materialism has brought us down. Like I said before, we are no longer looking at life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. We are looking at food, shelter, and clothing. We are back to caveman days. Certainly, there are ways to make things more equitable than they are now, but they have to be new ways. They have to be creative ways, not ways that are punishing and vengeful. A lot of the way, when people are talking about going to socialism, it doesn't sound to me like this is some higher ideal for them. It sounds to me like, yeah, we're going to punish those greedy rich people. We're going to take revenge on them. It's not saying we're going to make this a more egalitarian system for everybody. That's not the ideal here. The ideal is, like those kids said, oh, rich people, corporations, they're going to pay for me to go to college. They're going to pay for me. We're going to cut defense. Did you ask anybody? Are you asking people how we feel about that? Have you picked up a newspaper? Have you read what's going on in North Korea? Do you know what's going on with China? Seeking to have the biggest army in the entire world, the biggest military in the world by 2050? Do you know what's going on all over the world? Are you paying attention? But you know what? Cutting defense so that I can go to college. That's not reciprocal. That's not looking at your neighbors and saying, wow, could we cut defense? And then, can we look at this? No, we're not being thoughtful about this. We're just throwing out a lot of old and really old stuff that's been thrown out forever and ever. And you're being played, young folk. You are being played. Because if you buy into this, there won't be any choices for you. I mean, really look at and read what is going on in Scandinavia. And then ask yourself, are you willing to pay? You want a Denmark-style country, even though we have 330 million people here compared to 5, right? And Denmark, pretty high suicide rate. So we don't want that, even though among young women, sadly, that's climbing. That's another show for another time. But are you willing to go for a flat tax? Are you willing to say everybody, doesn't matter if you make $10,000 a year or you make $10 million a year, you're paying 50%. No, we fight. I cannot tell you how many times I have discussed the concept of a flat tax with people, and they're like, oh, that's not fair. That's not right. Well, there's this economic study over here that says that not only is it the most fair thing to do, so everybody is contributing, everybody is equal in the culture, everybody takes advantages of the services, but no, rich people should pay more. And then we have this ridiculously complicated, and it doesn't matter how many studies I can show people that say that we would actually get more money in, and because rich people would be paying more on a flat tax because they already pay, they've got 1 million deductions and things. And it's simple. Why is it that we have to make everything so complicated? We're like, yeah. Wow. When you look at how we word tribal cultures, the barter system, trading, you look at the way tribal culture worked was everybody had a job, everybody contributed, everybody got their fair share. Everybody got their food, their shelter, their clothing, their loving family. They got to play. They had more time to play because they worked together. We are so competitive. We're so head-to-head. We're so fighting against each other that we're going back to old hierarchical ways of solving problems. And it's old stuff, very old stuff. It's just another hierarchy. It's just another monarchy. Right now in this country, we have an oligarchy. We have people that keep themselves in power for the benefit of themselves, not for the benefit of the people. So you really want to dramatically, and we have a brilliant constitution. Brilliant. You can change it. We could change, if you're upset about the way immigration is now, introduce a law. That's what you were elected for. You want open borders? Go. Introduce the law. See if the rest of the country agrees with you. They don't agree with you? No open borders. Introduce a law. That's what you were elected to Congress for. I'm sorry, you're not here on the planet alone. It doesn't get to be your way because you decided you're right and they're wrong. Every argument in the world is, I'm right. No, I'm right. No, I'm right. I'm right, I'm right, I'm right, I'm right, I'm right. That's what we argue about. Everybody thinks they're right, which again is why the peacemaker said, if you want peace, you must make a decision. Do you want to be right or do you want to be fair? So don't talk to me about how you want world peace. You want a more compassionate world. You want a kinder world. You want a more compassionate and kind world. Be more compassionate and kind, and be especially compassionate and kind to the people who disagree with you. That's where you can really shine. That's where you can really be of service. And if you are not willing to do that, then step down. You are never going to be a strong leader. It is very easy to promise people free. Oh, yeah, this is free. I'm going to give you this for free. Yeah, elect me. I'm going to give you this for free. If you're not smart enough when somebody tells you that they're going to give you something for free, to step back a second and say, does this sound too good to be true? And then on your own, look into, well, how is that going to work? How am I going to get that? Do I think there should be college tuition available for those who want to go to college? For those, do I think that that would be lovely if we could make that work? Yeah, would be great. But we need a plan. How do we make that work? You have to remember the government, money does, I often think when I listen to some young people that they were never taught, and it's not just young people, I shouldn't say that. I have friends my own age where I'm thinking like, did you ever study U.S. government? Did you ever understand how the Constitution works? Money is not brought here on a spaceship from Mars, and then it's distributed to the people we elect, and then they figure out how to distribute to us. Money that those people are spending comes from those of us in the culture who are working and contributing to the society because we feel connected, because we were raised to feel like that's the right thing to do. And because those morals, that morality, comes from a spiritual place. That morality of connection, that morality of being responsible and being loving towards each other, that comes from spirit. So, as I wrap up, let me tell you that next week there will be no show. And that is because I'm going to take a week off. I'm going on retreat myself. And when the show returns, it will have a new logo, and it will be called Sacred Democracy, not Radical Democracy, because it is truly my belief that the only way to solve this problem is to look at the world as everything is sacred. You know, there's that old saying about there's two kinds of people in the world, those who see everything as sacred and those who see nothing as sacred. So that is my approach. My approach from here on in, I'm going to own it, is that we have to look at the great spiritual teachings and look at how we are going to bring these teachings into our government. Sacred reciprocity is teaching number 1. I agree to enter into this life in the best way that I possibly can so that I can give back to my community, so that my life is not just about getting food, shelter, and clothing. And the second we bring everything down to materialism, we are in danger of falling into greed, because it's greedy. I'm sorry. It's greedy to expect somebody else to pay for you. That's just as greedy as some wealthy person not being willing to share what they have. But when we enter into that sacred reciprocity where we are agreeing to help each other, where we are agreeing to take care of each other, to love each other, to respect each other, then we're on to something new. And some of those new things are kind of old. But if you want, if ultimately we want everybody to be happy and free and at peace, you can't go back to old systems. And you certainly cannot look at hierarchy. You have to look way beyond that. So when the show returns in 2 weeks, that will be the new name, Sacred Democracy, and we'll talk about some of the spiritual teachings on government and some of the plans that I think can change things for everybody, and some of my guests will think can change things for everybody when we do tap into the divine and when we do tap into our own connection to the divine and to the spiritual. So for those of you who insist on being mired in your anger and your hatred and your fear, which is what sadly I see going on a lot today, that's creating this polarization, I will be happy to pray for you, but I'm not going to go down there with you. I'm not going to dive into that muck and mire. I will pray that you find your way out of it, and I will love you through it. But I'm not going to sit there in that anger and hatred and fear that's driving your decision-making, because your decision-making is flawed. And it is not in the state of mind of loving community, kindness, respect, and gratitude. It is not seeing the abundance in the world, and therefore you're not seeing the abundance in yourself. So as always, in ending this show, I wish you all peace, love, gratitude, and I wish us all at some time unity. Thank you for listening. See you in 2 weeks. Bye.